welcome to this little talk about to start off the week 5 tutorials. Now I hope you'll listen to this just before you hop onto the discussion boards and take part with the activities this week. We're certainly in a brave new world, and we really hope that it's going to work pretty well. Quite well, I hope, anyway. It might take us a little while to get going, but I'm sure with your participation and the tutors' hard work, it's going to be fine. So what are we going to cover this week? This one is about children as under 5 in their social world. So this is about trust and attachment, about their emerging emotions, about interacting with others, and their gender role and gender identity. So how children experience the world in a gendered way. Now, professionally speaking, why is this important to you? It's about the way that children actually spend all of their time playing. They don't go to school particularly, and they just hang out, and they're learning about the world with the way they play. So it's really important that we understand how to make play as effective as possible and play as learning, so that even when they're constructing castles, they're having quite a lot of fun. And they're also experiencing far more. It's scaffolded to give them a better understanding of the world. So you might have to think about how in your professional lives, whether as psychologists, counsellors or occupational therapists, you're actually finding a way that play can be the driver, the vehicle with which you allow children to work through their issues or to regain their function, their capabilities, because then they'll have fun, and because they're having fun, they'll do it. So very, very interesting. So they're the learning objectives about what makes for attachment, how do they understand their emotions, how do they get on with others, and how do they see the people around them, about what men and women do, about what people like them would do. So the changes we expect to see it is this, about they should be doing these things. The reason we're learning about this is that children should be, at the end of this time, be able to do these things. So we see that in red are the ones they should be doing this week. So it should be about forming attachments, and it is about learning and play. So an emerging self-control, wouldn't that be nice? Be good, the marshmallow test. So what are we going to do today? Now, of course, the world has changed. It is different. Now that we can't gather together in the classroom, we've had to think about how we could give you the same sort of experience of working together with your peers in a way that the technology will support. So what we've decided to do is do a little bit of preparation work. So you might have to be slightly better prepared for the tutorials than perhaps you were in the past, but by doing that pre-work, so by the time you arrive at your tutorial time, you don't have to spend that time catching up. In fact, you're ready to go straight up, and therefore it won't waste your time as much. It's not going to be as boring, so I'd recommend it highly. So what we want you to do this time is read this amazing article from Mildred Parton in 1932. It's not a typo. The intriguing thing about this is that this research has stood the test of time. Children play exactly the same way they do now as they did in the 1920s when this data was collected. It's also a beautifully written paper. It's rigorously conducted. It is. You can see that this is. You would be quite happy to see this in a journal now, and so that's why I want. First of all, it's so some of the older papers are a bit waffly, truly, but this one's pretty good. So what I want you to do, well, I and the tutors would like you to do, is to read this article, because it's really clever the way they did it, about watching children and what they did and how they coded it, how the time constraints for that. Now what they found was that there are 6 types of play: unoccupied, solitary, onlooker, parallel play, associative and cooperative play. So what I want you to think about is, in this preparation phase, is to read the paper, think about what those descriptions of those play activities, types of play are, and what might be examples of that. So what perhaps have you seen of children that might fit with that, because we're going to use those types of play then in the activities that follow. Now, I've given you the citation as well as the direct link to the article in the library, and you'll see that also in Blackboard as well. So click on the link, sign into the library, and away you go. So what are you going to do on the discussion board? There will be threads for each of the activities. The tutors are going to be monitoring that, and will be actively involved. So you'll be able to, this is the thing about, if you've done the work first, you're going to be able to hop on and think about attachment, and also how secure and insecurely attached might play differently. How is it going to help in those stages? So think about attachment as a freedom to do. The second one we're going to do is about gender and play, and of course gender expectations of children, and under fives are pretty staunch about what girls and boys should do. It's really interesting to watch them. There will be some additional activities to follow on. I don't know, we probably won't have time, but it's certainly you can think about something to do after, particularly about how children's emotional maturity can influence the way they play. And if you think about, why do they like being scared? Tell me that. Why is it hysterically funny to be scared by things? So kids are kids. They're fabulous. So they're the tutorial activities. To cover in the second half of things is that then you'll pop on, once we've done the threads and for the discussion board on the activities, is then you'll hop into the threads about the essay. And you've got some questions, because now that we're 3 or 4 weeks away from it being due, you need to be thinking about, so using your time wisely. What are the questions you'd like to ask the tutors? What are the theories that you need to think about? What sort of things should you cover? So, and I like to bring this up again. An essay, you're going to be writing a complex thing, so it takes time and effort to do it to a high standard. So how do you need to prepare? How can you make the most of your time? And certainly while you've got the tutors, you should be grabbing them. Remember, so the essay is due the Friday, the 1st of May at 11 p.m. through Blackboard. And these again are the 4 topics. There's the one on infants, toddlers and early childhood, on middle childhood, emerging and early adulthood and middle adulthood. So the point, you will have had discussions in class about this, but I would make the point, certainly about the first one about infants and toddlers, is you are to do cognitive or psychosocial development, but not both. Do one or the other. So that's the instructions. So so that's about out-of-home care for young children's cognitive or psychosocial development. In middle childhood, the role of playing sport, self-confidence and friendships in boys and girls. For emerging and early adulthood, then the benefits and challenges of technology, and lastly about cognitive development and intelligence in middle adulthood. Have fun with them. They're really interesting topics because they're a little bit out of the box. They're really applied questions, because a lot of young children are in early childhood services. How does that help change their development? Lots of kids are at school. Well, they would be if it wasn't for the virus. How is playing sport helping their confidence and friendships? The benefits of technology. Oh my goodness, everyone's online at the moment. So what sort of challenges do you think that's posing for this age group? And lastly, with middle adulthood, about if we think that the problems that adults solve, keeping jobs, managing finances, things have changed in the last little bit. And what stages of cognitive development would make that easier? All the best with those, all the best with the tutorials. I will have office hours, Zoom office hours on Friday afternoon from 10 till 12. I'll post that link in Blackboard. Otherwise, shoot me an email. All the best, and we shall look forward to an interesting semester, and let's make it all work together. We really value your involvement and wish you all the best, and I hope you and your families are keeping healthy. See you soon.